What solutions do you have to improve the red zone offense? OC Paulsen.
Yeah.
Where are our red zone issues beginning and how do they end?
Well, Linnell, that is a very Linnell question of you. I would say, I put a video up on my Instagram yesterday that kind of details some of my thoughts on this, and it has some video to go with it. So make sure you check that out. And what I will say about the red zone is I think Scott has actually done a very good job in the red zone of designing plays that put our offense in better positions to be successful. And if you look at over the last 2 weeks, like if they hit on one or two plays, which are wide open against the Giants, they're at 60%, which is top 10 in the NFL. If you look at the game against Atlanta, there's two, again, wide open opportunities for them to score touchdowns. They're at 66% in that game, which puts you at fifth in the NFL, right? So they are not far off. And I think the fact that these plays are open in the secondary and that Scott has, again, Scott in the red zone, some of these plays done a really nice job of scheming up, dictating coverages, right, via personnel, understanding what the coordinator likes to do in certain situations, and then calling plays to beat those coverages. I think he's done a great job of that.
Yeah, so let's open up some detailed notebook stuff here real quick, because I think you just made a really important point in terms of dictating in the red zone. Coordinators, defensive coordinators, playbooks in the red zone shrink massively. Yeah. Like there are teams that will run like one coverage in the red zone. Like there were teams that when I was covering the league day to day or covering the Commanders day to day, you'd ask an offensive player like, oh, well, what's this, what's that, and they'd be like, yeah, in the red zone they run quarters. Like that's it. Like yeah, that's what they do. They just run quarters. And so obviously a lot of teams run man down there, and you see a lot of pick plays at the goal line accordingly. Some of those have worked very well for teams. Some of those very famously, the Malcolm Butler play in the Super Bowl, have not gone quite as well. So you see stuff like that with relative frequency. You also have deep red versus high red, which I think is another like thing that we should parse out here is when this team has gotten in the deep red zone, it's like, all right, we handed it to Brian Robinson and he smashes people in the face and he winds up in the end zone. It's a lot harder though when you're 12 yards out. What is the play call when you're on the 7-yard line? You're kind of in that no man's land in the middle of the red zone, where you're trying to figure out what is the best way to attack here. Do I have depending on the situation, do I have the ability to run the ball here? Or do I need to pass it because of time score type of stuff? And those all go into your red zone percentages on the entirety of the season. But that's a lot of caveats, a lot of what ifs, a lot of, background, but ultimately like it comes down to execution down there. And that's the hardest thing is the space also gets really tight. And the only way to expand is vertically. And they don't have a lot of vertical threats. And it's why missing guys like Logan Thomas, when Taylor misses those throws, those are killers because like you have your big tall guy that expands the space up a little bit and you throw it too high over his head. You got to take advantage of those things because there's just not a lot of room down there, and there's really fast dudes running around all over the place. It's also why you see a lot of red zone turnovers. There's just not a lot of space, and you don't see the backside defender who comes and undercuts a throw. So I guess then to wrap it back into like a question, though, is at what point do you have to start trying other stuff? Like Taylor's got to be able to hit what you call. If consistently he's not hitting the stuff that you call, you got to try something else because it's clear that's not something that he's very good at. So is there a way to find stuff that he likes, or is it all misses on different things for different reasons, and you feel good that if you come back to some of the stuff that you've done, he'll hit it the next time?
Yeah, I mean, I think I kind of would lean into the idea that he'll hit it next time because, again, Scott or the play, whoever is doing their red zone stuff, because it's not always the OC. Usually they like subcontract that out to, the quarterback coach or the tight end coach. Whoever is doing that has done a really nice job of putting them in an excellent position to be successful down there. And I look at the Atlanta game, for example, like the throw to John Bates is just a tick late, right? The miss to Jahan, which everyone's been talking about, again, is just a tick late. And I do feel like Taylor's being a little bit conservative in the red zone and being a little bit more deliberate. And so if I'm Scott, if I'm Zampese, I'm kind of say, hey, man, remember, we have cultivated this space. Trust your receiver to enter the space and be on time with the football. And so if he does that, that's 2 touchdowns right there, and everyone's feeling happy. And we got one of the best red zone offenses in the NFL, which is crazy to say.
Yeah, that would be fantastic.
I also think another thing that is important is that on some of these plays, like the one to Jahan, for example, like Taylor could be on time. but also the pressure, I think, is another thing that affects it, right? Against Atlanta, there's a Tampa 2 coverage, really beautiful play design. Guy sits over the ball, post by number 2 Jahan, and you won't see a bigger hole in the red zone in your whole life. And he can't get the ball there because there's a little bit of pressure. And that's something that we've known about, with the offensive line having some struggles. And that's one of the reasons why it's been tough in the red zone too, because again, the windows are tighter, the timing's more acute, and Scott's done a good job of, to my eye anyway, of creating nice throws, at least over the last 2 weeks, and creating good opportunities there. But again, if you can't protect it, and it's not like the protection calls are bad. It's not like anything like that. Like, I look at the pressure that he had on the Jahan play, for example. They got Larson on Dexter Lawrence, and Dexter Lawrence is their best pass rusher, but they also have a slide that way. So there's a double team to start. But Leno loses inside, which is fine because he's to the side of the slide. So Norwell has to leave, and then Larson's in a one-on-one situation with the best pass rusher on their team, right? So again, you've schemed it up appropriately. You've got the double team where it's supposed to be, but just kind of how the play shakes out, which happens in football all the time, you're put in a bad spot. So this is part of why football is frustrating to a certain extent, is because it takes all 11 guys. So if you're deficient in one area, it's going to expose you, right? If the quarterback's a little bit late, it's going to expose you. And that's why certain quarterbacks are more effective in the red zone, right? Because they have a little bit more stronger arm. They have a little bit more anticipation, which is weird because Taylor's also very good at throwing with anticipation. So that's I don't know why he kind of turtles up in those moments. Maybe he's worried, maybe the field goal, and maybe they're talking in his ear, like, don't make a mistake here. But I do think that Scott and the offensive staff have done a solid job. So in terms of improving, just about taking these opportunities that are there and then winning your one-on-ones and making plays. And I've been on teams where the red zone stuff is completely covered and there's nothing going on. You kind of say, well, shoot, we need to do something schematically better. Here, that's not the case. Like, schematically, it's there. It's just if I'm on this team and I'm playing offensive line or tight end, whatever, I'm saying that's on us as players. That we got to be a little bit better there. And I think they would say the same thing.
Yeah, and we've seen Taylor execute some of this stuff throughout the season and even in the preseason. I'm trying to remember, was it to Cam? The one he had in the preseason, he had someone on like a beautiful seam ball that is thrown with fantastic anticipation, and we're all going, "Oh yeah, that's what this offense is supposed to look like."
Right.
And those kind of moments are where you succeed in the red zone. He's had a couple of them. The touchdown to Gibson that they had this year, like red zone stuff works when it's in timing, or it works when you're doing the crazy scramble drill. And if you're a tick late, it's not going to work. And unfortunately, they've been a tick late, a tick too often, if you will, this season. All right. That's our first live show. We did it.
Yeah, it was fun, man. Great questions.
We did the pod. And now Matt gets to go edit it and put it up on the internet for everyone else to listen to, which if you're listening to it later, thank Matt because he did it. You can subscribe wherever you are watching or listening right now. Of course, the Odyssey Sports YouTube page for full episodes. Some of y'all are watching live as this unfolded. If not, there's a chance to watch the full thing back on Odyssey Sports YouTube page, youtube.com/@Odyssey Sports. We also post clips on 1067 The Fans YouTube page and on mine, youtube.com/@Craig Hoffman. There, you can catch my interview with Sunday Night Football play-by-play announcer Mike Tirico. That will be up shortly on my YouTube page. In fact, by anyone who's watching this back's status, and it'll be up now. So go check that out.
Nice
of course,
Craig. Good job.
Yeah, right there. When that's going to get cut out for use later. Anyway, you can also check us out wherever you're listening. Of course, Apple Podcast, Spotify, or the always free Odyssey app. I'll see y'all on the radio, 3 o'clock for the Hoffman Show. We'll see you 6 o'clock for Countdown to Kickoff on Sunday night, leading to Sunday Night Football. See you then. Let's go. Sunday Night Football around the corner.
Exciting, man.
Yeah, take command. Thanks for checking out this clip of Take Command. Or maybe it wasn't a clip. Maybe it was the whole thing. You can always get the whole thing. Let's change the graphic. Ready? Boom. Producing on the fly. Bang. Wherever you get your podcasts. And, of course, right here on YouTube. You can also check us out not only at youtube.com/@Craig Hoffman, but Logan, the Odyssey Sports page is live soon. That's very exciting.
That'll be fun. I don't care where you subscribe, as long as you do subscribe to one of these platforms. That would be very helpful for us.
Yeah, do it, or Logan's going to come to your house and he's going to be a sift blocker and knock you over.
Cut the legs out from under you, right?
Can't even do that on the field, but we can do it in real life.